Hello and welcome. I'm super excited today because we have Christine Baker, who is one of our certified TOLPAKAN healing practitioners, here to share with us her magic and what she loves to do in the healing space. And Christine and I have since become very, very good friends. It's been seemingly years, but it hasn't actually been that long. And I was just so thrilled that somebody who I love and respect so much chose not only to do TOPAKAN level 1, but also level 2, become a certified practitioner. I got to tell you, it was on my wish list. Um, and she has also since become one of our TOPAKAN mentors as well for the year 2025, which is a huge gift to us. I've seen her work with my colleagues. I've seen her work in many different avenues, helping facilitate, and she's just absolutely wonderful. So I'm so happy to have you here, Christine. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here for so many reasons. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, let's back up a little bit in time and perhaps, especially because a lot of people don't know you, and this is going to be, on YouTube and things like that. Like, go back in time and walk us through how did you decide to like what were you doing before you were a healer per se or a practitioner, and then what were you doing right before Topacan level 1? So kind of like a two-part question.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. So going back in time, linear time to be specific. Um, let's see. I think ever since I was a kid, I'm not going to tell the whole story from there, but ever since I was a kid, I had a very deep knowing and a very deep trust in God, creator, universe, whatever word resonates for you. This beautiful energy that was God, I was very deeply connected to. And I had this knowing of a way of moving that was just different than those around me. Um, there was a time where I then, as a kid, we go through life, we get conditioned, we're in public school, we're in different scenarios with family and friends. And so, that connection got a little quieter, and I did the whole life thing, and I grew up a bit and learned different things, and much, much later reconnected deeply again with that source, that connection. But I didn't necessarily know much about being a healer. I didn't know much about the energy world of things. I just knew I had that connection and that I wanted to help people. That's always been something important and near and dear to my heart, that I want to see people better than I find them, and I want to leave them better than I find them. So that was when I was a Girl Scout. I learned that rule, every place you visit, you leave it better than you find it. It was the same with people. So that has always been important to me and just a part of how I move in the world and my relationships and interactions with nature, with everything. So in my adulthood, I actually had a concussion at one point, and it knocked me out of myself, but I didn't realize that I was knocked out of myself until I came back into myself. And part of how I came back into myself was through my very first ever Reiki session, who I met through a chiropractor. So chiropractic has been a very important part of my life. And it was my first job back to the real world after my concussion. And so that first chiropractor was who introduced me to this Reiki person, beautiful Reiki master. And she did this session that literally put my energy, it moved all of these things I didn't even know were things. Like there were so many blocks and things inside of me. Um, I didn't know what any of that languaging meant. I didn't know what any of those visualizations meant, but oh my goodness, it was so potent. So that was the first like opening. It was like a window. Here's this rest of the story that you didn't know that you knew. Like you knew this when you were a kid, but you didn't know it as an adult. So it really opened my awareness and expanded something and opened something in me that I didn't know I even wanted or wanted to know more about. So several years in the chiropractic field, not as a chiropractor, but everything else in the chiropractic office, from the front desk to marketing to managing office. I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about the human body. I learned a lot about healing, the nervous system. I learned a lot about how people go through the healing process and, how hard it can be. And in one of the last clinics that I worked in, we had integrated medical and functional nutrition that also was a part of it. So I started to learn a little more about the deeper workings of how our bodies heal. And functional nutrition really grabbed my attention. And so I started to study some of that. And I was like, wow, this is really good stuff. And then in the process of that, I started learning about this holistic approach to everything, which in that particular program also included our spiritual growth. Then enters Dr. Karen into my story. And I started learning little programs along the way. And then I heard you on, I don't remember what the summit was, but I heard you on a summit and you were offering like a mini program at the time. And And I took the program. It was like a sponge. I just soaked it on like, oh, this is the rest of that thing. This is the rest of that thing. And it really opened up and unlocked that inner knowing and how to access it. So that's one of the special things about for me, Tulpakan One was tapping into that other piece that I was like, oh, that was like the last key that just sort of opened me back up to the rest of me. And so I haven't looked back. So going into Tulpakan One, opening that door, then I went into Dr. Marcus Bird's work from you. You introduced me to him and the Abukra energetics and the activator work. And that activated a very deep remembering and a very deep knowing in me. And that's where I was prior to Tulpakan Level 2. I was working in that program to support and mentor the students coming through, which was a beautiful opportunity. And then the timing just aligned as it aligned, and it was, oh, there's one more spot left for Tulpakan Level 2. And I said, yep, yeah, there is. That one's yours. I'm like, what? Right now? Are you sure? Have you looked at my calendar? Things are a little busy and full. Are you sure? And it was definitely the time. And everything literally just aligned. I mean, within days, it was faster than I like to move sometimes. It was literally, there's one spot left. Yeah. That one's yours. Yeah. Day 3. You need to go have that conversation, schedule your interview. What? And then it happened all within a week of acknowledging all of it. And here we are. It's been slow but fast at the same time. Really profound journey for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your share. I'm hearing that even as a small child, you were connected. You were connected. It started to fade away after, understandably, our societal programming, and then at some point in your adult life, you reconnected. And yet there was so much richer, deeper experiences to be had. And thanks to that knock on the head,
Yes.
you kind of fell into, a healthcare system, the chiropractic system, and really resonated with it. That Reiki practitioner helped you, bring yourself, your energy back into the body, and you learned more about the body, more about how the body mechanics work, and some of the more 3D stuff, like the functional nutrition was very, very interesting to you. And then somewhere, there was this divine connection that you found out about me on some summit, and you haven't looked back since. And lovely that you've now integrated both Topican healing and the activator healer coach, and being able to to pivot between those, and even intersperse them for whoever is in front of you, what they would be most served with. That's what I'm hearing. Mm,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And coming back to Tobacan One, what kind of positive experiences did you have that really told you or informed you, I really should do the certification program? Because I mean, technically speaking, you are certified in other things, a whole bunch of other
Right.
things. So why, like, what were those positive experiences that really gave you the, yeah, this is the right path?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I did Tulpakan One. I believe it was October of 2021.
Mm,
I think. I always get the years confused. And when I first did that, I was still very busy. I was still working in the chiropractic office that I was manager of, and I was learning functional nutrition, and I was also studying some other modalities, like smaller mini programs. So I was very, very full of lots of things that I was looking at and learning and all the things. But, and so I had a slow pace with Tulpakan Level 1 for that season. I picked it up really full steam ahead in January of 2022.
okay.
And that's when I started showing up to the mentor calls. That was really important for me to actually be able to be in community with those who were learning it as well, and committing to it and being focused with it. And then I met some of my fellow community members in the light medicine community, as well as in that cohort, including Holly, who's a very, very dear friend. So she and I really hit it off, and we went full steam ahead, rabbit hole style Tulpacan marathons. And so one of my favorite parts, one of the most important parts, was truly building an incredible relationship with an incredible person that I otherwise would not have met had I not
Mhm.
allowed that timing to unfold. So the community and the family piece was really huge. And the other piece was by having someone else to partner with through the process, I really, really, really built such a deep trust. trust in myself, trust in the process, and really deepened my trust in God and source, and knowing that I can connect directly. And there's so many ways, like whether it's muscle testing or the body sway test or a pendulum, whatever it is, the trust was so deeply built in that process. So that for me, Tolpakan level 1 built that very deep trust. And I knew that I was going to do the certification program. I didn't know when. I just knew, yes,
Oh,
that's a thing. It's going to happen for me. I don't
wow.
know when that's going to be, but it's happening. So even when I went into activator level 1, while Holly went into level 2 certification at the same time, we kind of branched, but we stayed very connected. So it's always, and it hasn't stopped ever, being a part of the fabric of how I navigate daily life and how I do everything I do and be. So it was a knowing, and then I had to trust the unfolding, and it unfolded.
Oh, that's great. So there was that knowing you were having this sisterhood, if you will, with
Yeah.
Holly, whom you would not have met had you not been in level 1. And even though your paths had diverged, with you doing activator first, her doing level 2 first, just your connection and community was so important to you. Just helped support your growth, and you had some knowing that level 2, it's going to happen, don't know when, but it's going to happen. You just had that solid knowing.
Yes, 100%.
Mm, excellent. And well, now that you have completed the certification program, I would love to know from you if you could highlight like one or two really positive experiences in level 2 as a contrast to level 1, but literally in level 2, what did you learn, what did you experience, like what was the big highlight for you?
Yes, level 2 was a really beautiful experience, and it was very different than level 1. I think one of the most important pieces for me, again, because community is so important, because your level 2 is a smaller group, and there's a lot more one-on-one or, two-on-one with you and Holly being there kind of, I mean, in this little huddle, and we all work together and we have our accountability partners through the process. The level of community to me is even deeper. And
Mm,
the intentional community, I think, is what I'm looking at. And for me, while community is very important to me now, and I acknowledge that I'm someone who thrives when I am in community and connected, I also still have a very introverted side where I need to be by myself to fill my batteries, right? And to really feel like myself. I do need that time by myself in nature, sometimes in a cave. Okay, often in a cave. And that's part of how I be and how I'm, energized. What was really neat is this space taught me that even if I'm needing that, I can still show up. I can still be supported. I don't have to have it all right. I don't have to have it all perfect. I may not even have had time to do the homework, but I can still show up, contribute, and be supported. And that's may not sound like a big thing, but that's a pretty big thing for me because I tend to just do it all by myself and or I used to. My old patterns were, I got it, I got it, I got it. I'll make it happen, don't worry. And I got to move in a very different way with level 2. And that was really key to just my own personal growth and where I am in life. But that was huge, like huge for me.
well, I'm hearing that is very, very powerful for you as someone who's extremely capable on her own to actually accept this community in a way so that there doesn't have to be perfection, or at least on paper that I've got everything, I've done it all myself, I'm good, right? And you're allowing that support, which is huge for many of us who maybe sort of don't ask for help a lot. Not talking about anybody in particular. And it's just a huge shift of experience for those of us and yourself that to have a different experience of life and community and being supported. That's the theme of being supported, and it might be evolving for you as it is for me. Is really big, and yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's very vulnerable. Thank you, thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, I resonate with that. And did you? Oh, I'm looking at my questions here. What did I miss? Okay. Oh, yes. Here we go. Oh, what was the most challenging aspect of the certification program for you?
So I think my first response to this, I think we had a question similar on our final, didn't we?
Yep.
And I think my first response is still the same. Interestingly, it's the linear time. Like everything to me about level 2 just really made sense. Everything, each module flowed and clicked in. I'm like, yep, yes, yes, oh yes. And so it all just flowed and made sense. My biggest challenge was the linear time piece. Like I said, my calendar That's, it's time to do level 2. What are you talking about? My calendar is ridiculous. What? Linear time was the biggest challenge because I really wanted to sink in and be like fully focused and present, taking notes, consistent notes style. I like to do, as a recovering perfectionist, I have a certain way I like to do things, and I wanted to do it that way. And linear time was just not going to let that happen. So
Mm,
one of the biggest challenges was letting myself just be with the process as I was showing up, as time was showing up, as process, as life was showing up. And it was a challenge and also an opportunity. And it was really potent. So yes, it was a challenge, but it was really a magical opportunity for growth. And again, just continuing to allow me to alchemize some of these old patterns that don't serve and their time to shift. I mean, Tulpakan 2 was a big piece of that, is a big piece of that.
wow. Yeah, that sounds really exciting that you were able to see the challenge as an opportunity as opposed to something to get depressed about or down about or resist, really just surrendering in a way to that linear time challenge and being able to work with it as an opportunity. I mean, that is one of the biggest, hugest things that anyone who is desiring spiritual growth and evolution can do is see an obstacle as not an obstacle, but an
Mm.
opportunity for growth. So, congratulations. Wow. Sounds awesome.
Yes, I am very grateful. It was quite an opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm curious. During the level twos, we got a chance to do, 30 sessions with 15 volunteers, 15 plus volunteers. And do you have any stories, case studies, anything that you could share or highlight that was exciting for you, or something that really was like pivotal in your awareness of that experience?
Mm. I will say it's interesting. I want to note first, there was kind of an overall theme with the volunteers that I had, and this is how divine alignment works, is many of them fit into kind of the category of who my ideal client or clients might be. Most of them were high responsibility, sensitive soul type people who were already on some kind of a spiritual growth or journey path. So we got to really go, I feel like how I would want to move with this. We got to go as deep as they were ready. But each
Mm.
one really showed up. They were fully present in the sessions. They were expressing what needed to be expressed. They were allowing the shifts to happen. The feedback they gave, many of them had visceral movement in their bodies. And you've heard me say many times, I'm not super clairsentient, and I'm not, but that's starting to get a little bit louder. And I could actually connect with most of them and kind of feel to some degree a bit of, oh, I can feel something moving over here. And then they would say, I'm feeling tingling up and down my spine, or I'm feeling an opening in my chest. And I'm like, oh. So, it's really neat because while they were experiencing shifts and healing, I also was experiencing my own shifts and healing, and even just the clairsentient piece of feeling in the body what's moving around and the energy that's happening there. I began to feel that for myself. So the themes of self-responsible, spiritual, people on the journey, leaning in, sharing their feedback, and then me also getting to experience my own growth through this process. That was profound. I feel like it was profound for everybody all around. And the feedback that I received from most of the individuals who participated it was so beautiful, and it was so unique to each of them. And I could see those themes coming through when I look at the results and the outcomes of that. So I feel very blessed by the whole process. And yeah, I know
Mm.
I didn't
Well,
give you a specific case study, but that's what comes to mind is I'm just really in awe of that process.
yeah, that's lovely. And I do remember some of the feedback, on some of the forms were quite deep and
Mm.
quite profound. And you were able to go pretty deep with many of your volunteers, much more than what was actually expected for level two certification. I was like, okay, rabbit hole we go. You know, obviously, everyone's ready for that. Yay, you guys, right?
Yes, yes,
Oh, that was
I
great.
love that.
Well, I'd love to know. So you talked a little bit about that you were already attracting to some degree your ideal client or people that you love working with. You get jazzed working with. So maybe you could spell that out a little bit more. Like who would be a good fit for you where you are right now?
Yes. So I'll even share just my elevator pitch, if you will, what I've been working on, some of the words that
Sure.
are coming through. So I'll share the short version. As a soul expression specialist, my mission is to empower healers and coaches to fully embrace and express their soul purpose. And I guide those with a high level of spiritual responsibility to clarify their gifts, clear what's holding them back, and create lives that align with your highest vision. So, my clients, the ones that I get most excited about working with, many of them come with a lack of clarity around who they are or who they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to be doing and what their mission or purpose is. That's a really big common theme. And that goes for whether you are a healer, you're just healing your family, just healing your family. That's a big job, by the way, or building a business. I know, right? And so that theme runs through all of it. And I have clients on both sides. I have clients that are healing, self-healing and healing their families, and they're lacking clarity and they don't know how to move forward or they don't know how to navigate what's showing up in their lives. And I have clients who are knowing they're feeling called to be a part of the healing arts business and supporting healers and coaches, and yet they don't have clarity on how they want to move and what their expression is. So that soul expression piece is really key for me. My business is called Embracing Expressions, and that's been the work for myself, is learning how to embrace my own expression and being willing to express, allowing my throat chakra to clear and to express and share who I am in my own magic. And that's what I do with my ideal clients, is I help them to clear this stuff. And it's not all here, like guys, it's everywhere, but this is one of the big ones. And so we work on clearing that out so that you can call in and create this beautiful life, business, whatever it is that you know you're feeling called and drawn to do, to create and to offer.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And your soul expressions, I remember when we were talking about that in our live group, and it really kind of got tingles.
Mm.
And partly because of my own things, my own stuff, because the whole Topican healing method, cry a little bit. I didn't really want to do it. As you know, I had resistance to that. And what the angel said, one part of it was like, it's the expression of your soul.
Yeah.
And that convinced me, because I was just like, nope, nope, lots of things. I don't need this. And nobody needs this. There's so many modalities out there, right? But they're like, it's part of your soul expression. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing it. So for you to have, the soul expression specialist, it's just like, oh, yes. Yeah, it's very personal to me. So I
Mm,
did not warn Christine I was going to cry, but she's used to it, right, Christine?
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, okay, if someone is interested in working with you or just checking in to see if it's a fit, how does that all work? Can you walk us through the steps?
Yes, I'd love to. So, yes, if you feel drawn or ready to embrace and express your soul purpose or figure out what that is, then we connect. That's the first step. I call it a discovery call. Usually on that call, it's about 20 minutes, and there is a quantum assessment process that I'll take us through. Looks different for every person. And so once I do the quantum assessment, we'll have a good idea of, what's showing up on my end. We're going to clarify what your primary goals or concerns or targets are, what you'd like to see shifted, what you'd like to create, what you're feeling you need. And then from there, we can determine what it might take to succeed in that, to do that together. So I work in session packages of 4 or packages of 8. That's how I've been called to do it so far. And I also now have a group program. It's kind of a set container, so that's in progress, and then I'll probably open that up again a little bit later this year. So a few different ways to work with me. Once we determine what feels the most supportive, then we just move forward with pay links and scheduling, and off we go.
Great. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a lot of different options. And the first step is really that discovery call to really get to know each other, see what a fit is, whether that be one-on-one, and to what degree or depth you want to go to, both of you. And then the group program, which is not currently as of this recording,
Yeah.
open, but that the plan is to have those opportunities in the future.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Ooh, that's exciting. And we're coming to the close, of this interview. It's been a great pleasure. And Christine, I'd love to know if you had like one piece of advice or wisdom to share with our listeners and people watching the video. What would that be?
Mm. The thing that came in when I was preparing for this was what would that be? What would I share? And it's something I recently shared with a client, and that is that awareness is one of the most potent tools of transformation that we have, that any of us have. And awareness doesn't have to be like, I took this course, I downloaded this, I channeled this. It doesn't have to be this big spiritual thing. Awareness can simply be just being with yourself and allowing yourself to think a new thought or observe what's going on or feel what's actually in your body. Awareness is lighting up your life. It's lighting up your consciousness. That could be a candlelight, that could be a match, it could be a flashlight or a floodlight of awareness, all those levels. But being in that willingness to be aware, to allow awareness to come in, to allow your awareness to evolve, I feel like is one of our most baseline foundational pieces that if we all just played with that a little bit every day, our consciousness as a collective is going to continue to elevate and grow and light up the planet even more.
Mm. Yes, I resonate with that. Thank you for that. I love the metaphor of the different levels of light because people sometimes want to go all out and they're not quite ready, right? So,
Yeah.
whether it be a candlelight or a floodlight, any degree of awareness is going to help the whole planet, everybody,
Yeah,
the Infiniverse.
exactly.
Oh my goodness. Christina, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for being here today, and for the folks watching or listening. We're going to put some links below so you can find out more about Christine, and perhaps that discovery call if you feel called, if it feels like there's a resonance here. We're just so pleased to have so many beautiful, beautiful certified Topican healing practitioners with us, because I'm only one person, and we have these practitioners with their own specialties, their own gifts, just to expand it further. So I'm really excited and grateful for you, Christine, and all of our other healers for being who you are and continuing that growth and evolution. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll put the links below. And yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye for now. Big love. Big love. All right.